The story begins with a young man named Kwon, who used to be a national-level taekwondo champion. But as time played its cruel game, Kwon ended up completely unemployed and started wasting all his precious time sitting in an internet cafe, playing video games all day long. Even though he didn't have a single penny in real life, in the gaming world, his name carried weight. In an online game, he was famously known as Captain, and along with a few close friends, he had formed a team called Razor Action. Inside the game, Captain never hesitated to put his own life on the line to protect his teammates. One day, while Kwon was deeply absorbed in a gaming session at the internet cafe, his eyes fell on an unattended smartphone lying nearby, constantly ringing. When he picked it up, a girl's voice came from the other side. She explained that she had forgotten her phone at the cafe and politely asked Kwon to return it to her house. At first, Kwon was absolutely unwilling to leave his game, but the moment the girl mentioned that she would pay him $300 as a reward, Kwon instantly agreed and headed toward her house. When Kwon reached the given address, he noticed that the front door was already open, and he could hear the sound of water dripping from inside, which meant the girl was taking a shower. Kwon called out from outside, and the girl told him to place the phone on the table and take the money lying there. Kwon did exactly that, but before leaving, he politely warned her, saying, "Ma'am, leaving your door open like this isn't safe. Any stranger could walk right in." But this was only the beginning of his nightmare. The very next day, while Kwon was sleeping peacefully in his room, the police suddenly stormed into his house and arrested him. Kwon was completely shocked because he was being accused of murdering the same girl. Nothing made sense to him. The police claimed they had found a blood-stained weapon in his room, blood marks on Kwon's hands, and even his fingerprints and DNA at the victim's house. And the evidence didn't stop there. The building's security cameras captured Kwon's footage, and even his semen was found at the crime scene. According to the police, Kwon had the girl twice and then stabbed her in the neck and stomach, killing her brutally. Within hours, the news spread across the country like wildfire. Overnight, Kwon became a hated criminal, and the entire nation turned against him. When Kwon's mother heard the devastating news, she rushed to the police station in tears, but she wasn't even allowed to meet her son. Later, she desperately stood on the streets, distributing pamphlets and shouting that her son was innocent and had been framed. But people were so convinced of Kwon's guilt that no one listened to her. Instead, many verbally abused her. Left with no option, she approached a lawyer named Mr. Min for help, but even he believed Kwon was guilty because all the evidence pointed against him. A few days later, the court trial began, and all the evidence was presented against Kwon. Due to massive media pressure and the overwhelming proof, the court delivered its verdict quickly. The judge argued that unemployment and excessive gaming had destroyed Kwon's mental balance, pushing him to commit such a heinous crime. As a result, Kwon was sentenced to life imprisonment without parole. Kwon was transferred to a high-security prison. As he arrived there in the dead of night, he looked like a terrified child, surrounded by ruthless criminals. Soon, a brutal gang leader named Paul noticed him. On Paul's signal, the prison guard stepped aside, and his goons grabbed Kwon. Paul started beating him mercilessly, but Kwon fought back and landed a powerful punch on Paul's face. This enraged Paul even more, and his men beat Kwon half to death. When the guards finally returned, Paul falsely accused Kwon of attacking him, and as punishment, Kwon was sentenced to 30 days in solitary confinement. Even after the punishment ended, Paul and his gang didn't leave Kwon alone. They cornered him again, beat him brutally, and injected him with a strange substance. Under its effect, Kwon began losing his mental stability and, in a state of madness, started harming himself. His life in prison turned into a living hell. One day, his mother came to visit him, along with lawyer Mr. Min. Seeing her son in such a horrific condition shattered her heart. She understood everything that Kwon was going through. She comforted him and said, "Son, just endure a little longer. I promise I'll get you out." She made it clear that she would never allow herself to be called the mother of a rapist, nor did she want Kwon to live with that stain. Her words breathed new life into Kwon's broken soul. When he returned to the barracks, there was a new fire in his eyes, even though the violence with Paul's gang continued. One day in the dining hall, another inmate secretly gave Kwon some ointment and told him that he believed Kwon was innocent. He also believed that Paul knew Kwon was innocent, which was exactly why Paul kept targeting him, because Kwon was an easy victim. That day, Kwon made a firm decision. He would fight back so everyone would realize that breaking him wasn't that easy. The next time Paul's men came to beat him, Kwon was prepared. He hid himself and attacked them using small, sharp weapons made from pen and paper. Using his old fighting skills, he defeated them all and finally knocked Paul unconscious with a single powerful strike. One day, lawyer Mr. Min came to meet Kwon, but he brought along some devastating news. He told Kwon that his mother was no longer alive. Min placed the death certificate in front of him and asked Kwon to sign it so the government could proceed with the final rites. Kwon wasn't even allowed to see his mother one last time. Min explained that his mother had completely broken down after enduring constant taunts, insults, and humiliation from the public, and she eventually lost her life due to this overwhelming grief. Hearing this, Kwon was shattered to his core. That very night, his mother appeared in his dream and embraced him. The next morning, Kwon remembered her words that he must not live the life of a rapist. He swore that he would prove his innocence no matter what. Kwon then came up with a dangerous plan. He deliberately attacked Paul, but during the fight, he ended up getting stabbed in the stomach himself. He was immediately put into a prison ambulance and rushed toward the hospital. This was exactly what Kwon had planned. On the way, he suddenly got up and attacked the guards. Holding a sharp object against the chief guard's neck, he demanded the key to his handcuffs. Out of fear, the guard handed over the keys. But at that very moment, the ambulance met with a terrifying accident. Everyone inside was injured, but somehow Kwon survived. He unlocked his handcuffs and started running. The injured chief guard aimed his gun at Kwon, but after a moment of hesitation, he lowered it, perhaps realizing that Kwon didn't belong in prison, and so he let him go. Now Kwon had become a fugitive. Escaping through the forest, he stole some clothes and kept hiding from the police. Along the way, he came across a husband and wife whose car had broken down and who were in a hurry to reach the airport. Pretending to be a mechanic, Kwon fixed their car. Since they were leaving the country and didn't recognize him, they rewarded him by giving him their old car so he could sell it and make some money. Using that car, Kwon reached the city. With nowhere else to hide, he went to lawyer Mr. Min's house, hoping Min would understand his situation. Min gave him his mother's necklace and assured him of help, but at the same time, he cleverly called the police because he wanted Kwon to surrender. The moment Kwon sensed the police were coming, he escaped from there immediately. After some time, Kwon reached an internet cafe and began reading articles about his case. Every single one of them was written against him. That's when his eyes fell on a documentary that claimed Kwon was innocent. The documentary questioned how a person could rape and murder someone within just 3 minutes, and it also pointed out that the evidence in the case had been tampered with. Kwon noticed that the documentary was made by someone named Mr. Harry, who used to be his old gaming partner. Soon, when Harry arrived, it was revealed that Harry was actually a girl named Yul, who was also part of Kwon's gaming team. Yul warned him that the cafe manager was about to inform the police, so they needed to leave immediately. They escaped, and Yul took Kwon to her secret hideout outside the city. She lived there in isolation, hidden from the world, and was a computer expert. After reaching there, she cooked a delicious meal for Kwon. Eating proper food after surviving on stale prison meals made him feel alive again. Before long, the rest of the gaming team arrived at the hideout as well. Now they all wanted to help Kwon, just like Kwon always protected them in the game. Yul's research had completely torn the case apart. She had uncovered every flaw in the evidence. The entire team now had just one goal: to prove Kwon innocent. Together, the team analyzed all the recent high-profile cases. During the investigation, they noticed something very strange. A specific truck appeared near every crime scene. When Yul dug into the details of that truck, she discovered that it had been purchased under the name of a scrapyard. Kwon secretly made his way to that scrapyard. There, he saw 2 men loading a large, heavy box into a vehicle. Kwon followed them and reached a luxurious building. It turned out to be the house of a famous TV actor named No-jun, but what Kwon saw next shook him to the core. The box contained No-jun's dead body, which had been brought there from the scrapyard. Hiding in a corner, Kwon watched as several special agents arrived and began planting fake murder evidence. They placed someone else's hair and fingerprints at the scene. That's when the biggest revelation came to light. The mastermind behind this entire conspiracy was none other than Kwon's own lawyer, Mr. Min. In reality, the actor No-jun had been murdered by the spoiled daughter of a wealthy businessman named Shu. To save his daughter from going to jail, Shu had hired Min to fabricate evidence and pin the crime on an innocent person. It was then revealed that Min had a secret room in his building, accessible only through facial scanning. Inside was a powerful supercomputer. This time, Min had selected an ordinary girl named So, who had absolutely no connection to the actor. Poor So was living her life peacefully, completely unaware that her fate was about to be destroyed. Meanwhile, Kwon secretly took photographs of the exact spot in No Jun's house where Min's agents had planted fake fingerprints. He sent those photos to Yul. After scanning them, Yul quickly confirmed that the fingerprints belonged to So. Min's team had gone to So's house, knocked her unconscious, and collected her hair, blood, and saliva samples to use as fake evidence at the crime scene. After that, they even called So to the actor's house. Kwon had tapped So's phone. The moment he heard the voice on the call, he was stunned. It was the same voice that had called him on that cursed day and lured him to the crime scene. Everything was crystal clear now. Just like this case, the real killer in Kwon's case was also a rich kid, and Kwon had only been framed. Kwon rushed there to save So. He tried to forcefully take her away, but she panicked and escaped on a motorcycle with someone. Kwon chased them, but his luck ran out. His car broke down midway, and then the villain made his entry. Paul, who had somehow managed to get out of jail, arrived there with his goons. They captured Kwon, dragged him to an isolated place, and started torturing him. Paul was taking revenge for the beating he had suffered in prison, but Yul didn't give up. She informed the SWAT team that Kwon was present there. The police raided the place, and taking advantage of the chaos, Kwon managed to escape. Just then, Yul arrived in a car and picked him up, and the two fled together. On the way, Kwon asked how Paul had managed to track him down. Yul checked Kwon's mother's necklace and discovered a tracker hidden inside it. Min had given that necklace so he could keep an eye on Kwon at all times. In the end, with a heavy heart, Kwon had to throw away his mother's last keepsake. Now it was time to strike back. Kwon's team built a few drones and sent them to scan Min's building. They were certain that the supercomputer containing all the dark secrets was hidden there, and their suspicion turned out to be right. The drones spotted the secret room and the supercomputer. Meanwhile, Kwon went to No Jun's house and erased all the fake evidence. When Min found out, he sent his cleanup team, but Kwon blew up their evidence van with a bomb. Min was now in serious trouble. Businessman Shu's daughter was hiding in a hospital and wanted to flee the country, but for that, Min urgently needed to create a new crime scene. Shu threatened Min with dire consequences if the job wasn't completed. Min started setting up a new crime scene, but posing as Min's man, Kwon lured Shu's daughter to that very location. The moment she arrived, the police caught her red-handed. The news spread across the country like wildfire. Min's entire plan had collapsed. Kwon called Min and said, "Your game is over. The whole world will now see your true face." But Min was a psycho. He started laughing. He said he was bored of doing the same thing over and over again. But now, because of Kwon, the game had become exciting again. Min was still rambling when Kwon cut the call, making Min furious. Just then, Min noticed something in his office. His secretary was dead. He realized the phone call was just a distraction, and Kwon had already infiltrated his building. Min ran frantically toward his secret room, but Kwon was already waiting there. He grabbed Min from behind and beat him mercilessly. As they fought, they reached the supercomputer. When Kwon checked it, he found the video used to frame him. Then he saw another video. His mother, standing alone on the streets, fighting for his innocence. Min shamelessly confessed, "Your mother didn't die on her own. I had her killed. She was causing too much trouble. People were starting to support her, so I removed her from the way." That confession shattered Kwon's restraint. Enraged, he beat Min brutally. After that, he began transferring all the data into Yul's pen drive. Just then, Paul called. He had kidnapped Kwon's entire team. Spitting blood, Min said, "We tracked your hideout through the necklace's tracker. If you don't reach there within 30 seconds, Paul will kill everyone." Kwon didn't have time to wait for the data transfer to finish. He ran to save his friends. Min called again and said that Yul would be the next scapegoat, and fake evidence against her had already been prepared. At the hideout, Paul fired a shot, but missed. Suddenly, the power went out. Taking advantage of the darkness, Kwon shattered the bones of Paul's men and rescued his team. After that, the entire team headed toward a TV station. Min had already hacked all the TV channels and was broadcasting news that Kwon's team were dangerous terrorists. Police and goons were waiting outside the station. The team made a plan. Everyone else would distract the police while Yul went inside. The police surrounded Kwon's car. Kwon raised his hands and surrendered. Watching all this live on TV, Min was thrilled. He thought he had won, but his happiness lasted only a moment. Suddenly, his computer system shut down. He remembered. Yul's pen drive was still connected to his computer. The data had already been transferred. Yul hacked into the TV station and exposed Min's entire operation. The whole country watched live as Min's fake evidence network and his protection of the rich were revealed. Yul then showed the truth behind Kwon's case, making people realize how badly they had misjudged an innocent man. Min was completely exposed. He panicked and ran toward his car, only to find that the steering wheel was missing. Kwon's team had removed it earlier. The police arrested Min on the spot. However, it was clear that a bigger mafia was still operating behind the scenes. In the end, Kwon and his entire team were honorably acquitted, and Min was thrown into the same cell where Paul was imprisoned. Min's life life in jail was about to become hell. So friends, if you liked the video, make sure to comment.